You know, beneath the waves, in a world of crushing darkness and immense pressure, there's a silent conflict happening, all the time, completely out of our sight. So let's just start there, with a simple question. What is really down there?
Well, for starters, an invisible armada. I mean, right this second, submarines from every major naval power are gliding through the depths. Some of them are attack subs, stalking targets, while others are carrying ballistic missiles that could literally level cities. They are the ultimate stealth weapon.
And this constant, unseen threat has kicked off a crazy technological battle that's been raging for decades. It's this never-ending cat-and-mouse game of detection and evasion. Okay, so let's dive into this hidden world and really explore the great underwater arms race.
Right now, this whole tech battle is really heating up in the seas around Taiwan. The game board is changing, and the newest piece on that board is this massive project that people are calling China's Great Underwater Wall.
Now, we're not talking a wall of bricks and mortar, of course. This is a super sophisticated net. For a cool $300 million, China is laying down a huge network of sensors all across the key entry points to the South China Sea. And its placement? Absolutely brilliant, strategically speaking. A lot of these sensors are right within listening distance of major U.S. military outposts like Guam. The goal is pretty straightforward: make the undetectable detectable.
So how does it work? It's a really clever two-pronged approach. First, you've got active sonar arrays, sending out sound pulses, pings, to look for things. But since those pings can give away your own location, the system also uses passive hydrophones that just listen. As soon as something is picked up, multiple arrays can triangulate its exact position. And boom, fiber optic cables zip that data to shore for instant analysis. It's basically a high-tech tripwire on the ocean floor.
But this new wall, it's really just the latest move in a very long game. To really get its impact, we have to rewind a bit and look at the classic tools of the hunter, the cat, in this undersea game.
So, meet the cat. For more than half a century, the Lockheed P-3 Orion has been the absolute workhorse of submarine hunters. This thing flies low over the ocean, it's a flying sensor platform, but one of its most important tools isn't sonar. It's that really distinctive pole you see sticking out of its tail. That pole houses what's called a magnetic anomaly detector, or MAD for short. The idea is actually pretty simple. The Earth has a magnetic field that's more or less stable, but a giant several thousand-ton tube of steel moving through that field, that creates a tiny disturbance, a magnetic anomaly. And the MAD boom's job is to fly through the air and feel for that tiny little ripple.
Okay, but how it does that, that's where things get wild. It is a mind-bending trick with lasers and helium gas. To put it simply, the sensor uses a laser to basically make helium atoms invisible to light. But a sub's metal hull creates this tiny magnetic disturbance that messes with those atoms. The sensor picks up on that change, and all of a sudden, the invisible submarine leaves a visible trace. It's like using atoms as these tiny microscopic compasses to find a giant tube of steel. It's incredible.
And the sensitivity here is just, it's staggering. To find one submarine, a MAD sensor has to be able to detect a magnetic distortion that is 50 million times weaker than the Earth's own magnetic field. That is the level of precision we are talking about.
But hey, for every hunter's tool, there's a countermeasure, right? And in this game, the mouse developed an absolutely incredible trick to become a ghost.
The solution was beautifully simple in theory, but almost impossible in practice. Just stop using steel. See, steel is ferromagnetic, which is just a fancy way of saying it basically screams its presence to a magnetic detector. Titanium, on the other hand, is diamagnetic. It has an extremely weak effect on magnetic fields, which makes a titanium submarine almost completely invisible to MAD systems.
So picture this, it's 1969, and CIA analysts are getting these shocking reports of new, smaller, and way faster Soviet submarines. These titanium subs could dive deeper, and crucially, they were ghosts to the #1 detection method of the time. This was a true technological bombshell. The US had looked at building a vessel this big out of titanium and decided it was just too difficult and way too expensive to even try. And yet, the Soviets had done it. But this arms race, it's a constant cycle of action and reaction. So if you can't reliably detect the ghost, what do? Well, you have to build a faster bullet to catch it when you do get a glimpse. So what happens when the hunter finally strikes?
The answer to a 40-knot titanium submarine was a 55-knot torpedo.
Meet the Mark 48, and just listen to the name of its engine, an axial flow liquid propellant swash plate pump jet. It's an absolute engineering marvel designed for one thing, and one thing only, to be totally inescapable.
So how does that mouthful of an engine actually work? Well, instead of a normal crankshaft, the pistons push in a straight line right against a tilted spinning plate. That's the swash plate. This setup brilliantly converts that linear pushing motion into incredibly powerful rotation, which drives two propellers in opposite directions. It's a compact, brutal design that generates just immense speed.
And speed is only half the story. When this torpedo finds its target, its massive warhead is, and I'm quoting here, capable of breaking the back of even the strongest titanium submarine. Let's just say there's very little chance of survival.
This whole back and forth, mad detectors, titanium hulls, faster torpedoes, that's defined the last 50 years. But now, new technologies are coming out that could change the rules of the game entirely.
Think about it. A traditional subhunter has to fly just hundreds of feet above the waves to get a reading. But what if the hunter wasn't in the sky at all? What if it was in space?
The next big leap is a technology called synthetic aperture radar, or SAR. A submerged sub, even a deep one, still creates a super faint wake on the ocean's surface. Now, to see that tiny detail from orbit, you need a ridiculously large radar antenna. SAR solves this problem by using the satellite's own motion to synthesize a massive virtual antenna, combining multiple radar pulses into one incredibly detailed image.
So just how large are we talking? To get the kind of resolution SAR provides, a physical radar dish in orbit would need to be, wait for it, 25.5 kilometers long. Yeah, you heard that right. It's a completely impossible engineering problem. But with SAR, the impossible suddenly becomes possible.
But maybe the biggest change is still to come. The ultimate evolution of the submarine might just be one with no crew at all.
Autonomous underwater drones just change all the rules. Imagine a submarine that never needs a crew, never needs to surface, and can just recharge itself at hidden underwater docks. Its hull isn't steel. It's made of non-magnetic plastics, making it a ghost to mad sensors. And with silent electric motors, it can just anchor itself to the seafloor and listen, becoming a silent, patient hunter in a vast, intelligent network.
Which brings us to our final thought here. China's Great Underwater Wall is a static line of defense. It's built to detect intruders crossing a line. But the future it points towards is so much more dynamic. What happens when that fixed wall is replaced by a vast, intelligent, and constantly moving swarm of autonomous hunters? The game is changing once again.